It is precisely 3 years since I published this video that kickstarted my woodworking YouTube career. It is also 1 year since I published this video that changed everything again 100 times. And it is 0 years since I returned from the most transformative woodworking journey that I have ever been on. I'm trying to say that I just got back from it. This chapter is about woodworking, YouTube and the exploits and hacks that of course exist. Note that I called this video a chapter and not a video. This little distinction will be very important later. Plans within plans. But let's start with the beginning. This little pallet coffee table, which is located in a small barber shop in a small town in Denmark. Wait, that looks like pallet blocks. Who on earth got this stupid idea to start gluing pallet blocks together? Yeah, it was this guy who started calling himself Jesper Makes in 2020. After a year of dismantling pallets, he had a lot of pallet blocks in his workshop. And while most people burn these, Jesper, of course, I decided to turn them into a tabletop. At the same time, I have gotten a bit of experience editing some really bad videos. So I took that experience and tried to make the video more entertaining. And honestly, also putting more of my quirky personality into it. And like most people burn the pallet blocks and also delete their old bad videos from YouTube, I found a way to reuse them. We'll get back to this little exploit, but let's focus on the coffee table video for a moment now. I started the video with this little sequence of me lifting the project from my workbench with a sound effect of something breaking and my pretty face saying the F word. That was my idea of a hook at that point, but also notice the music. I usually use music in my videos. In this one, I played a few notes from the main theme in the beginning and also throughout the video. And that way, when I start up the track near the end, it seems more familiar. And then I just started putting pallet blocks together like no one had done before. The mix of trying something new, my quirky accent that I can't hear myself, and some funky editing, like switching from high-speed cuts to a sudden ASMR moment, seemed to catch people's attention. Maybe some were just curious to see when this project would fail, but they stuck around until the end at least. This video didn't blow up right away. It took about 6 months before YouTube picked up on it. And that is how it works on YouTube. Small channels get the same shot as the bigger ones, but it takes some time to gather enough data for the algorithm to push your content. And you know, YouTube's algorithm is perfectly balanced. There are no exploits. But just like the table slowly came together, so did my understanding of how YouTube works, including some exploits. But we'll get into that soon enough. Exactly 3 years later than this, I traveled over to the Northmen in Latvia, a guild of master craftsmen building houses, boats and tools the old way. And boy, did I learn how to handle axes and chisels. What actually started my dream of being a woodworker and YouTuber was watching the video The Birth of a Dugout Canoe. And now I'm actually meeting the guy who made the movie and the guy who made the dugout canoe. And that was because I made some YouTube videos talking about this, and the Northmen saw those videos and invited me over. That is some loop that got closed there. And so while working in their barn, I noticed their code. Do what you love was what got me into woodworking in the first place. Begin where you are and start with what you got. I had pallets, and after dismantling many of them, I had pallet blocks laying everywhere. This pallet blocks coffee table video became part of a longer video a few years later. A big piece in a larger puzzle of things that fitted together. And making not just wood fit together, but also make your videos fit together and form a bigger story. That's an important lesson. A lesson that I didn't know that I was learning while gluing blocks together and making my first YouTube video success. Wood within wood and stories within stories. And we'll get into more detail about these strategies, but for now we are building a coffee table from pallet blocks, and we have all the blocks glued together with regular wood glue to form one massive block of wood, but still with some tiny gaps here and there. I started filling up those gaps with epoxy resin, and the joke that I made a lot when I visited the Northman was whenever I made a mistake and chopped off too much material with the axe or a chisel, we could just fill it up with epoxy. So, while the epoxy cures, let's move into the YouTube hack. Or yeah, let's just quickly fast forward to the barbershop where this table resides. Let's talk about the YouTube exploit. A few years ago, I watched this video called Grandfather on the Northman's channel. It was initially released in 4 parts: summer, autumn, winter and spring. But then they put it all together into a full documentary, almost an hour long. And here's the interesting part: the full documentary got way more views than the individual chapters combined. It was also the version that I would keep watching with my father when he was sick, so the numbers really stuck with me. My brain just noticed patterns like that, and I got this crazy idea. What if I made my own full documentary? I already had a 14-minute video telling the story of how I started this whole journey, so I used that as the intro, and then I followed it up with my best wood recycling projects and titled the whole thing "This Will Change How You See Wood, I Promise." Total runtime was 2 hours and 48 minutes. I was honestly terrified when I released it. The first few days, the statistics looked awful. I thought it was going to be a major flop, but I was wrong. People saw it as one long cohesive journey, probably thanks to the intro that set up the rest of the videos in like chapters in a longer story. And now, some people say that I started the trend of longer woodworking videos on YouTube. Sorry about that. I'll share the actual results in a moment, as well as how I later took all my early pretty terrible videos and turned them into a super long compilation that is also now getting tons of views. But one of the people who noticed the video "This Will Change How You See Wood" was Cam from Blacktail Studio. We chat occasionally about this stuff, so I just asked him what he thought about the exploit.
I saw Jesper was doing really well with them. And I know that YouTube had passed Netflix as the most streamed app for TVs now.
But before we dive into that, you're probably wondering how the weird little pallet block coffee table and the timber frame in Latvia are coming along. And I promise, it is all coming together. The next step is flattening the pallet blocks table to get a nice uniform surface. I rigged up a homemade flattening jig, and so far it is working great. And meanwhile, over in Latvia, we have been putting together pieces for a massive timber frame. And while I was there, one of the craftsmen, Soren, asked if I wanted to check out a forge they were building, a traditional blacksmith forge. Honestly, I had no idea what to expect, but what I saw could have been straight out of Lord of the Rings. It was incredible. I can't even begin to express how grateful I am to have experienced this, learning the old ways from true craftsmen and getting the chance to be a part of their story. And how am I lucky enough not to have a real job and get to do all this? I'm probably not the best one to explain it, but I know someone who is.
If there's one thing that's better than making furniture, it's getting paid to make furniture. And if there's one thing that's better than that, it's getting paid twice to make it once. And that's kind of the inspiration behind why I started doing these big compilation videos. I saw Jesper was doing really well with them, and I know that YouTube had passed Netflix as the most streamed app for TVs now. So I figured people on their TVs just want to put something on, I have to find something again in 9 minutes or whatever. So I made some really long compilation videos, and they aren't my most viewed videos, but some of them have done really well, and they are my most profitable videos. And it's all by repurposing content I've already released elsewhere. And what I'm shocked is how many people haven't seen the original videos. I would have thought it might have been just other fans of mine that are watching these long videos, but it's new people finding this content that just don't want to watch a 15, 20, 25-minute video. They just want to put something on and just zone out for 2 or 3 hours, maybe fall asleep. I know people say they work from home and they just put these long compilation videos on in the background. So it works great for me, and I get to get paid twice for building it once.
My first long video has over 6 million views and keeps getting steady views every day. That, along with my other long videos, have made being a self-employed YouTuber way more stable. It's like having a steady income stream from content that I have already created a long time ago. And as my best buddy from Australia says,
good evening. G'day. So the supercut, or the massive long videos, in essence, what it is, it's a bit of a second chance to get our videos seen by a heap of other people. We put so much time and effort into making these things, and sometimes they only reach a small audience. What I've found with the couple of supercuts that I've done is they have reached a massive audience, and they've actually brought in a heap of new subscribers. And what it is good is people get a very good understanding of what this channel is all about, and that is helping them choose to instantly subscribe. So that's cool. The other massive bonus is they are really long videos. So really long videos are getting lots of ads placed on them, and that has this nice trickling effect of ad revenue to help support the channel. So they're probably the biggest ones. But the other good thing is when you're putting them together, reminiscing on how your channel has grown and changed over the years is also been quite fun looking back. Myself, I'm actually working on another one right now, so stay tuned for that.
and that's why I like to think of my regular videos as chapters in a bigger story, a journey story. Each one is a piece of a larger puzzle that comes together later in longer videos and giving viewers a much deeper understanding of what I'm trying to share. Kind of like the Grandfather full documentary, where you follow this old man through all 4 seasons of the year instead of just one. It's the same idea behind my video This Will Change How You See Wood, where I pulled together about 12 of my best wood recycling projects and my YouTube journey to 100,000 subscribers into one long meaningful experience. It's the same with Dynamate's 5 years of pallet wood projects or Blacktail's anthology videos. Each one tells a story, but when you put them together, it creates a whole new meaning. And hey, if you have made some truly cringe-worthy videos, don't worry about it. You can still re-edit them and give them a whole new life. I did exactly that with my second long video, From Beginner to Full-Time Woodworker in 2 years. It is basically a mashup of my earliest not-so-great YouTube attempts, mixed with glimpses of a future project and jumping back and forth between the past and the present. It was a massive project, and one of the hardest parts was creating 90 minutes of brand new voiceover, but the payoff was worth it. People really connect with the way the video spans a longer time frame and shows the bigger picture. Back in my little workshop, I'm finishing up the coffee table. Unknowingly, it would kickstart a whole new direction in my life later. My trust in craft and mankind is reflected in this table, where every pallet block, every imperfection was just a part of the bigger picture. And that is how I see my journey on YouTube too. Each video, each project is like a chapter in a much larger story. It wasn't just about building tables, it was about building a life around things that matter. Like the coffee table, I didn't know that a few short videos would lead me to this point, where I'm creating longer, more meaningful, hopefully content that people actually want to sit with. Those compilation videos, the so-called YouTube exploits, they aren't just a hack or a trend. They are a way to tell stories in full, letting each piece of content fit into something bigger, like wood within wood, like joinery on a cabin. My video From Beginner to Full-Time Woodworker in 2 years, it's entertaining, I promise, that was the title, was never just about woodworking. It was about showing how everything connects, how craft, patience and storytelling fit together. And that's what I've learned through this whole journey, plans within plans. Whether it's a coffee table or a long YouTube video, it all comes together in ways that you don't expect at first. But looking back now, I see how each project, whether it's my first bad video or a beautiful timber frame in Latvia, fits perfectly together into a bigger picture. Just like the Northman Forge, where tradition and modern craft meet, my own work has layered stories within stories. It's not just about the finished piece, but about the journey and the small decisions, the mistakes filled with epoxy that makes it whole somehow. So, as I finish this table and reflect on the path I have taken, I realize that it's not just the wood that comes together, it is the story of my life, my work and the people that I've met along the way. From my small Danish workshop to the big timber frame in Latvia, it is all connected.